Teneo has a highly customizable user interface. Let me show you how you can adapt it to fit your way of working. Starting with the fixed keys here on the right of the dentist element, the first one is the timer. When you push the timer, you'll notice the orange button lights up and you can select from any of the different presets. You can change these to whatever time you want. You can add an audible alert for when the timer goes off, and you can also recirculate the timer over and over again. The next button in the upper right is Trendelenburg position. This tips the chair back to help patients that are feeling sick, lightheaded. Our next row of buttons, we have the light buttons. The one on the left is to activate composite mode, and the one on the right is on/off for the light itself. The next row of keys are cuspidor related. So you have your cup filler and your bowl rinse here. Those only apply if you have a cuspidor equipped on your Teneo unit. The bottom row of keys here are not typically used. They can be connected to a low voltage wire to start a coffee machine, open a door, things like that. Not typically going to be used. On the bottom here, you have the clean button and the setup button. The clean button is utilized when you go to wipe down the touchscreen in between patients so that you don't activate any keys accidentally. Let's go into the setup menu. So you're going to press and hold setup for 5 seconds, and we're going to take a look at the chair settings. So that's the middle key on the left. I'm going to push that, and this opens up all of the settings to customize the user interface to your liking. In the upper left, you have the number of preset positions. So if I have this on 2, I have S, 0, 1, and 2 available. If I set this on 4, I have S, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That gives me 6 total settings. The most common is going to have that set on 2. The next row of buttons here, the first one customizes your user interface to simple mode. When simple mode is activated and I take an instrument, I go to my home screen here, and you can see it's very simple. There's only a couple rows of buttons. You have headrest control, S0, 1, 2, and all of your other chair movements and your clinical functionalities are underneath subsequent menus. If I go back into the setup menu and I change it to extended mode, now when I go back to my home screen, you can see we've extended the functionality available on the home screen. Now I have all the chair controls available in the middle slot of buttons. On the left, I have headrest S0, 1, and 2. And on the right, I have my other clinical functionalities available there. We go back into the setup menu, and I'll show you simple mode. And to activate simple mode, go back to my home screen, and this has both my instrument controls, S0, 1, 2, and basic chair movements available here. This is the easiest way without having to dive into separate menus to activate your user interface. Going back into the setup, I'm going to put this on the extended mode so we can see all the options available. And when it's in extended mode, I have the ability to control my foot pedal here. On the first setting, I have a no cursor mode. When I have no cursor selected and I go to my home screen, there's no orange cursor that I can control with my foot pedal. If I go back into the setup and I turn that on to enable my cursor, go back to my home screen. Now I have an orange cursor, which I can move around and select different items with my foot. The last setting is the advanced foot control mode, which I can activate here. The advanced foot control allows me to dive into any menu and then get out of that menu by double tapping up on my foot control. This is really nice for advanced users that want to do hands-free, especially during implant when you need to have a completely sterile procedure. The next group of buttons in the setup menu, we have the number of users. If there's 5 doctors, then you would set this on 5. If there's 2, you would set this on 2. The next button in the upper right controls the chair movement for preset positions. If I have this active, notice active means there's an orange box around this button. That will increase the chair movement to preset positions. If I activate the next button here, which has the magnifying glass, this activates microscope mode, which allows the treatment center to move extremely slowly so that under high magnification, your field of view is not moving in and out rapidly as it would in a normal mode. When I activate this, it's going to add that key onto my home screen. So if I want this to be in microscope mode, I just activate that button right there. Going into the next page, I'm going to hit the right arrow and I'm going to arrow over. This controls the light turning on off with the motion of the dentist element. In other words, when this dentist element gets to a treatment position, the light will automatically turn on if this is active with the orange box. Down here, I have the ability to activate the doctor's element movement with all of my different chair preset settings. I'm going to arrow over to the next page, which will give me another list of options. This page here is typically not going to be used. Again, earlier I mentioned a low voltage to open a door or something like that. Not typically used in the United States. Going over one more menu will give us the ability to change the amount of the chemical suction line cleaner. This should be defaulted at 3%, which means you're running 97% water and 3% of this suction cleaner that's in the unit. This button, when activated here, will control the suction on-off for the HVE line with the joystick on the back of the treatment center. The next one, if activated with the orange box, will allow me to control the headrest by moving that joystick to the left and right. Finally, we have the bottom row of buttons here, which is the camera focus. The first position with the X does not allow you to control the camera focus with the foot pedal. It will only be controlled by the blue button on top of the camera. If I want to change the way the camera focuses, I can take the middle setting here. This will allow me to half hold on the foot pedal to focus and fully press that to freeze the image. If I take it on the last setting here, that will focus and freeze the image all in one press. Advancing one more screen takes us to the end and we're back to our main list of settings here. Moving on to the instrument settings, I can go back into the setup menu, go into instrument settings, and the first setting here requires you to save your preset setting. So for example, if I take my electric motor, I can pick, maybe I want 30,000 to be my default position every time I pick up this particular handpiece. So I can press and hold the save button, and that will save on 30,000. So if I put this back, pick it up, it will automatically default to that position. The next one, if I go back into the setup menu and I select the next one over, that will automatically save my handpiece positions or my last handpiece setting used, so I don't have to push the save button. The last one that we recommend looking at is the customizable setting, where I pick up my handpiece and I have all of these presets which I can change, and I do so by simply pressing the set button and holding that, and I can change, maybe I want 40,000 with water and 40,000 without water. So I can change that by turning water off, holding set, and saving that into a different position. Now I have one 40,000 with and one without water. And those are the three different types of ways you can interact with the handpiece customizability. If I go back into the handpiece settings, this next one here, if that's activated, it's for a surgical piezo to be able to sit on top of here without damaging or interfering with the electronics of the Teneo. The next button down is afterblow, which will continue blowing air out of the handpiece after your foot is let off of the foot pedal. Then we have the overall intensity of the heat that's applied to the water coming into the unit. And this will vary based on the temperature of city water coming into your particular Teneo. And those are the basic settings for the chair functionality as well as the instrument customizability.